This is the EngineAI T800, built in China's booming tech megacity, Shenzhen, and imported to San Francisco in June. It arrived on American soil to fight in REK's humanoid robot combat arena.
I'm looking forward to it and more of what's to come with these bigger robots.
REK is short for Robot Entertainment Combat. Combat spelled with a K, Mortal Kombat style.
It's effectively like if somehow Mortal Kombat blew out of a video game console and went into a piece of metal.
The reason for the T800's import to the United States might be a controversial reason for some. But the robot combat sporting landscape in the US is gaining popularity month on month. And the fact remains, it's perfectly legal. Both robot combat as an activity and the presence of the T800. But Congress is looking to change that, with two bills designed to protect the United States' national security, with a potential ban on all Chinese-made humanoid robots.
These back doors, we've seen it in robots. That's another area where China is trying to dominate that technology, and we've seen back doors in robots that would transmit information back to Chinese communist interests.
If this ban goes ahead, how exactly will it affect organizations like REK who already have these robots fighting in their arenas? And what exactly is the legislation Congress is looking to introduce? The first bill is the GUARD Act, House Resolution 9129, introduced June 3rd, 2026, by Congressman John Muhlenar of Michigan, chairman of the House Select Committee on China, alongside Jay Obernolte and Jennifer McClellan, Republican and Democrat, sponsoring the same bill. It works through the FCC's covered list, the same mechanism already used to restrict Huawei equipment and DJI drones. Any humanoid or quadruped robot from a country the bill flags as a concern would need a national security review. Miss that review within a year, and it gets added to the list automatically. No further vote required. The second bill is narrower. It's called the American Security Robotics Act. Introduced back in March by Senator Tom Cotton of Arkansas and Senator Chuck Schumer of New York. About as far apart politically as two senators get, agreeing on this one thing. This bill doesn't touch commercial imports at all. It only stops the federal government itself from buying or operating Chinese-made robots, with a one-year phase-out for anything already in use. One could affect what REK sells tickets to see. The other only affects what Washington buys for itself. Different bills, different targets, same underlying fear. There are currently 3 organizations in the United States that would be significantly affected if Congress decides to enact the bills. With REK being the first, the second robot combat organization based around Chinese hardware is Ultimate Fighting Bots, out of Los Angeles and San Francisco. UFB built their entire Season 1 around the Unitree G1 and the Booster T1 humanoid models. The Unitree G1 has become one of the most commonly seen Chinese robots in the US.
Imagine you're minding your own business and you see this robot walking down the street.
Some people were understandably concerned, even stopping in their tracks to meet the bot better known as Zion.
Hi. The third organization, which also featured the G1 at their launch event earlier this year in Boston, the Professional Robotics League. ProRL's exposure is different and arguably bigger. Using robot sporting events to ultimately promote their robot servicing and distribution business, their current business model depends on the continued import of Chinese robots into the US. Nobody at any of these 3 organizations knows yet whether the specific hardware currently central to their business operations will get waved through, restricted, or outright banned. This uncertainty reflects a larger fear being felt around the United States today with regards to the robotics industry and just how this technology will affect jobs and businesses over the coming years. The evolution of robotics technology and its eventual mass implementation into society isn't a net positive for everyone, not initially anyway. That's just the hard, cold truth. Founder of REK, Six clearly sees the difference between the American and Chinese robotics landscape when it comes to robot sport in particular.
China is ahead in production. They're ahead in engineering. That's just have to accept it. China's behind in media.
No one can deny American ability for creating spectacle. The US has a rich history of cultivating the world's best entertainment products. Is China really going to compete in packaging robot sporting entertainment to a worldwide mass audience?
The US is still the cultural battleground for the world.
Yeah.
And I think that that culture is going to make it so the winner of the robot fights will be American, but probably using Chinese robots.
If the ban does come into play, then obviously we'll be looking at an update on this perspective with both American made and American marketed. Meanwhile, outside of both America and China, there are a number of European companies that could provide humanoid robots. With Germany's 4NE1 robot, produced by Neuro Robotics, one of the standouts. Then, of course, we have the joint Norwegian and US-based company 1X Technologies, headed up by CEO Bernd Bornich. The Neo model establishing itself as one of the world's leading humanoid robots, particularly now, with a recent upgrade to its hand precision ability. So China isn't the only option for humanoid robots outside of the US. Whether the Neo model or any other future European developments are legitimate alternatives to China's humanoid for robot combat competition remains to be seen. But currently they aren't able to offer the requirements necessary. But the point is, if China is no longer any option, then there is potential for other global companies to provide alternatives, just not currently. While Washington debates whether these robots should even be allowed in the country at all, China's state broadcaster is doing something very different with the same technology. CMG, China Media Group, is China's equivalent to the BBC. It ran its first Mecha Combat Arena event in Hangzhou in May 2025. 4 teams, Unitree G1 robots, with a winner called simply AI Tactician. That was really just the initial test run, though. For 2026, CMG isn't just running a bigger event, it's recruiting globally. Robot companies, developer groups, individual operators, anyone, anywhere in the world, invited to enter. One country is currently debating whether to let this hardware cross its own border. The other is inviting the entire planet to come compete with it. Wang Xingxing, the founder of Unitree, is personally entering the 2026 competition himself, piloting a 1.82-meter H2 robot. CMG's own promotional material puts it simply, this is a fighting arena. This is also a testing ground for robots. 2 governments with 2 completely different approaches right now. But in defense of the US government, China is not dealing with an identical situation. All of their humanoid robots are produced on home soil. If US robotics technology began to outshine the Chinese, would the CCP be any less cautious with their approach to Western robots entering their borders? While Congress argues about robots that might get banned, there's already a robot currently competing within the US that has 0 chance falling into that category. Boston Dynamics Spot Quadruped Robot, American company, American hardware, start to finish. It was showcased at ProRL's Boston event, engaged in a low-intensity obstacle course. None of the proposed legislation would touch it at all. Of course, the involvement of quadruped robots in sporting events like that of ProRL's in Boston is in a very early stage of development, but it certainly shows the potential for bigger things in this area. If the US government do decide to go down the road of a complete ban on Chinese robots, then quadruped racing, based around the homegrown Boston Dynamics hardware, could potentially be a major pivot point for robotic sport in the country. at least in the short term anyway, until the robot combat organizations nail down the most effective American humanoid models to fill the fighting cages. So back to the opening question. Can you legislate away a technology that's already here and standing in the ring? Maybe, parts of it, for a while. But legislation moves at the speed of committees and votes. If an outright ban on the import of Chinese-manufactured robots is enacted, then it's likely to take some time before full enforcement is actioned and even longer to confiscate robots already active within the US. But however long an entire rollout would take, ultimately all robot sporting organizations currently utilizing Chinese models will be looking towards Tesla, Figure, 1X, and Boston Dynamics to provide the replacements. The next few months may end up being a highly significant time period for the overall global robot sports narrative. We'll be following the story closely, so you're welcome to join us for a deeper analysis on our website and subscribe to the channel for more videos on this subject and the greater robotic sporting landscape across the world. We'll catch you on the next one.